Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte Kilpatrick, reporting for VaccineNation from the World Vaccine Congress in Barcelona. I'm delighted that today we're joined by Dr. Claire Sears of EMS Healthcare. Thank you for your time. To kick us off, would you kindly introduce yourself and your current role?
Yeah, so I'm Claire Sears and I'm based with EMS Healthcare, which is a UK-wide network of community research sites. So we provide mobile units which are used to support both clinical research and also capacity within the NHS.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you had a working group this morning on equity, diversity and inclusion in vaccine research.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share some of the key concerns that emerged during this session?
Yeah, it was a really good session, and we had a great expert panel drawn from CRO, sponsor, and also researchers. So we heard all those different voices, and I think one of the key points that came out of it for me was the need to look at this topic from a global point of view. So diversity, inclusivity and equity mean so different things in different countries. And if we're thinking about vaccine studies, both from a global point of view and also then vaccine delivery, we really need to meet the needs of all the population that are going to be included in the research, and then need to have that efficacy and safety demonstrated for the vaccine. And also that, those topics, it's a lot of different things. It's ethnicity, it's age, socioeconomic status, sexuality, gender, and we also had a question about inclusivity for the neurodivergent population. So there's a lot of different considerations, and I think the panel did a really good job of trying to talk about that and embedding that thinking early on in the design of our research studies.
Fantastic, thank you. So could you tell us how these sort of, as you mentioned, really broad themes fit into the work that you're doing at EMS Healthcare?
Yeah. I mean, one interesting point that came up really was that there is a limitation in various different countries on what data can be collected on diversity within the populations. But what we do have in the UK is we do have access to a really rich data set. So what we can do at EMS Healthcare is that we can look at that data on the diversity of the populations. We can use census data, including indices of deprivation for socioeconomic status, and then we can also look at disease burden from an incidence and prevalence point of view. And then we can overlay that data on the population with the performance of the community research sites from a location point of view. And so what that lends us then to be able to do is to actually design the placement of our community research site based on the needs of the study. So I think that's really, really a nice and interesting and a unique thing that we can do based on our model. And then given the flexibility of that location, we can then recruit from similar locations, because there's evidence that the retention and recruitment of participants is so much better when the staff that are doing the research reflects that population. So we are very, we can then recruit from a sort of similar population. And also that lends itself to all the community engagement activity we do as well to support that population in their understanding and acceptance of the study.
Absolutely, and it's really great to hear the points you're raising reflected in conversations we're having with other speakers. So there's clearly some agreement across the board here.
Yeah.
We're welcoming colleagues from across the world and different areas of the vaccine space here. How could anyone who's attended or listening to this conversation, how can they implement strategies that are sustainable to address any challenges in diversity, equity or inclusion?
I think sort of thinking about sustainability in terms of those efforts being embedded in the way that we do research, I think what really came across in our panel was challenging the status quo at every different point of the process, so that thinking about how the studies that we're doing meet the diverse needs of the populations we're trying to meet, that thinking is embedded all throughout development of the product. It's not something that can be done if we're thinking about it when the protocol is finalised and we're 3 months away from first patient in. So I think that was the sustainability of the efforts in diversity and inclusivity and equity really require that thinking in companies right throughout the development process. And I think the other thing about sustainability of these efforts is having the regulatory support for different models, for use use of mobile healthcare, for use of different technologies, community-based research, and we are starting to see that shift in from the regulators. I think the other, and I've not heard so much about this at the conference so far, is environmental sustainability of what we're doing from a research point of view. And I think the ethos that we have in terms of community-based research really helps that environmental sustainability as well, because you are cutting down the distance that participants may need to travel to attend a research study, and placing them in locations with really good transport links. And also thinking about, use of renewable energies. We have solar panels on all our units and our headquarters, and so I think that's another aspect of sustainability we can think about.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to keep both those things going concurrently.
Yeah.
So my final question is about your time at the conference and what you're hoping to achieve, or what you're most looking forward to here.
Yeah, I think the as a first-time attendee of this Congress, I think what was really interesting in the panel is that we started off with a Slido poll of where our audience was from and what type of organizations. And it was really apparent that we had a huge cross-section of different countries represented, and also people from all different types of organizations, whether that was from research sites, academia, CRO sponsors, but also technology suppliers and vendors. And I think that's what's really exciting for me, is having that cross-section of conversations going on. So you've got the right people in one place at the same time and collaborating together to effect real change. And I think that's what's really exciting about this week.
Great. Well, I hope it's really productive for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Great.